It's 7 o'clock in Pahrump, Nevada, where we bring you Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. This is it's Valley of the Wet Dirt people today. We got a little bit of rain. We have a few people in studio here, in-studio guests. We have Logan, Noisy Logan. Say hi.
Hi.
And we have Matt Mattoon, who's back for your second appearance on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Hi, yeah.
These are some of the kids of Pahrump. So they're dirt kids. And Matt ran away and went to college, but he's quarantined here in Pahrump, so he can do all of his virtual learning and virtual teaching. Mm-hmm. So he's joining us back on the show again. It's been a while. What episode do you remember? Which episode you were on?
It had to been like 14 or 15. It was
that. You said it was the first show in here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in the teens.
Yeah. So that was. It's been a little while. So you've been watching the show.
Here and there.
Here and there. Because you don't have that much time to waste.
No. I'm very busy.
And you're not riding your motorcycle much.
I don't have my dirt bike up in Reno, so no.
Because you live in a teeny tiny little small apartment with no garage.
Yes.
Would you have your dirt bike there if you could?
Oh, in a heartbeat. You know how much I'm watching, I've watched like Moto 7 and 8 like on repeat because they're on Red Bull TV and the only ones that are like free that I can find.
Right.
So I can't tell you how many times I've watched those movies and then just like whatever I can find on YouTube as well. Been watching a lot of the old. They're old to me. You would laugh because since I consider them old, like 2007 to like 2014, like a lot of supercross races and motocross races from that era.
I think a lot of people are doing that now.
Yeah, I was doing it before. I was doing it before it was cool. So
yeah, good for you. I don't have time for that. That's that much stuff. I don't even watch this show. I make this show. Actually, I walk away from this show, and the only reason I have to watch is because I have to remember what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, I say the same thing over and over again, but that's not a lot of different things. So, anyways, let's see. And of course, Logan, what have you been doing?
Not much.
Not much. And so I texted you today. What did I ask you?
Want to go riding?
And you
sand tracks?
Yep. And you said
no thanks.
No thanks. Now, I'm not sure what's wrong with the kids these days, Logan. So the first question, what I asked him? I said, "You got a girlfriend?" I'm like, "What, you got a girlfriend?" Because, I mean, what else would stop you from riding when the dirt is absolutely perfect? So what was it?
I don't know.
You don't know? You're going to have to elaborate on this. I don't know is 3 words. I want at least 6 words on why you didn't go riding today.
Maybe he was busy with his virtual class.
I think he's ditching virtual school.
Yes, I am.
You're ditching virtual school.
Pretty much.
Ditching school is not good. That's what I did in high school almost. I didn't ditch, but
I could tell you the Matt story. It's a long like
I regret.
I'm not kidding. You regret bringing this up, don't you?
Yeah, a lot.
And I'm saying this with as much affection as I possibly can. When I met Matt, he was a dum-dum. he had a ton of potential. I'm not going to go into the whole story. He just had a ton of potential. And he was just being a dum-dum. And I don't know. And I hate seeing that in kids, younger guys. I'm not calling you a dum-dum yet, Logan. But if you tell me you're sorry and you can't go riding and I know thanks, I'm going to come over and beat you up. So
must have hit his head riding or
dude,
something.
The dirt was so good. But anyways, so Matt got motivated. I probably told him about that time because I was being a dum-dum and I went to prison. And what happened there? What? Why did everybody look at me funny? Like that actually could have happened? No, I have not. Well, actually, no, I haven't.
Well, I mean, maybe
I haven't really been in prison. I almost got chucked in juvenile hall when I was a little kid. When I was your age, Logan, maybe a little older, and it had to do.
You're calling me the dum dum.
Well, I straightened up. You have to have that pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And he's not a dum dum.
Yeah.
This kid's pretty smart, but the fact that he's given up riding made me think he had a girlfriend. But so, the moral of the story: go riding when the dirt's wet. Because here I'm on the probably the downhill slide of my riding and life in general. So every wet dirt opportunity I have,
your curve is flattening, is what you're saying.
Curve is flattening. Yeah. Physics guy that's smarter than me now. So I need to take advantage. I took advantage of them every single time I could when I was your age and your age. I mean, and I'm going to probably explain why wet dirt is so much better. But don't pass these up because like today was epic.
I wish I could have gone.
I know that's what you said, but you told me the other day that you were busy with school and work because you have 2 jobs now.
Yeah, no.
But at 5 o'clock when I left, you could have gone riding too.
I could have, yeah.
Hey Matt, what do you ride?
Oh, I ride 2012 brand new Husaberg TE 300.
So you ride a Husaberg?
Yeah. Blue KTM's.
Yeah.
I like to stay unique, so.
Yeah, some people understand the Husabergs. I sure do. You know why I didn't ride my Husaberg today?
Because you had a Husqvarna, the replacement for the Husaberg, right?
No, I was actually testing something. I was actually doing research actually for this show. That's the only reason I went riding, research for the show, and to put me in a better mood. But I didn't ride the Husaberg 570 because the ground wasn't wet enough for that particular bike because that bike has a lot of power. I mean,
oh yeah,
you've ridden it.
I remember. I think I was I was either 15 or 16, and I think I was 15. And you told me to get on the bike, and I was riding around one of for one of the classes. I was riding around one of the little like whoops, little tracks we did, and I was having so much fun. I kept over jumping like all the things I used to hit, and then we went up to the gravel pit, and I was like. I was on it and I wanted to try and like do a wheelie on it. I was like, well, second gear, that's too much. I'll try third gear. And I got on the gas really hard. And this is before I actually listened to like how the wheel loft. And then I almost looped out the bike in third gear, just trying to.
Well, that happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You didn't twist the throttle very far. You probably went a quarter turn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that Husaberg, like, the reason I'd ride it today is because it has so much power that, like, when that tire just digs a trench, it would have dug down and made dust, and I didn't want to make any dust today while I was riding. That's why I chose to not ride the Husaberg. I had a question for the people out in the room, just to check. Do you think this show should have a format? Because we just kind of ramble, but should we have like a format and segments and do things in order and all that stuff? Just to kind of throw it out there for the regulars, because it is a lot of regulars that are watching it. And George texted Logan and reminding Logan that what?
It takes an idiot to raise a village.
Thank you, George. Yeah, thanks, George. Right, my spirit monkey advisor or whatever the heck he is. Yeah. So and then are there any? Do we need a format? And do I need to bring more special guests in here? Nothing against you guys, by the way. You
mean I don't compare to Andrew Short?
No, not really.
Wow.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know how organized you are. Andrew Short is the most organized person I've ever met.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's very, very, very organized. I don't know, and I haven't seen you ride lately, so I can't really compare that. I haven't seen you go out and win rallies. I haven't seen you drinking a Rockstar energy drink every 14 days, but Andrew doesn't do that anymore. So he's Monster. He's Team Monster now. So hey, there's a lot of new stuff on dirtbiketest.com, or a lot of new stuff, some new stuff, as much as we've put up in the last 3 weeks, but I finally did my test on the Klein Powercross pullover, which full and complete information. I wore it today. It's awesome. In case it rained and in case it got cold when I was riding down the road. There is Gabe's Honda CRF 250L Rally test is finally up. The words are up. So if you want to go through there and you can criticize us about our spelling, punctuation, and grammar, and all that stuff, and then I'll just blame Gabe, even though I tried to do the best I could with the time I had to edit it up. And there's a Husky 501 impression from Scott Hoffman. There's lots of stuff, so you can always check that out. It's good if you do that, share that, support Dirt Bike Test. Maybe you can buy a T-shirt. It says so on the screen right behind us. And if you're the one guy who bought the T-shirt last week and I haven't got to sending it out, blame me. But if somebody else buys one, then I'll actually have to send 2 out, and then it'll kick me in gear to do all that stuff and go to the post office because I'm kind of scared of going outside other than riding. You can when you're on the site, you can also click through on the Amazon links. So you don't have to buy motorcycle stuff there or the stuff that's kind of suggested in the pictures. You can search through those things, and if you need to buy all your toilet paper and sanitizer and whatever other things you buy, we can get a small chunk of that. It helps this out. And then I don't have to pay these guys in cat food because it's getting rough around here. So my indentured servants feeding them cat food. So hopefully I might have some big news about sponsors next week. I'm really hoping this time because I'm getting sick of getting dangled across the coals on this thing. So what else do we have to talk about, Logan?
From the last show, Joe Doyle, I think. Jimmy, since we're on the subject of the pandemic, what are your thoughts on the Honda Cub 125 Hunter? Is it, in fact, the perfect apocalypse bike, as some have claimed? And if not, what is?
Joe Doyle, I have no thoughts on the Honda 125 Cub. I never even thought about it. That doesn't exist. But Honda did release a 150 adventure scooter on April 1st, which may have seemed like a joke, but it was actually really a bike release. So they have a scooter. Yamaha used to make this Zuma scooter that was like a 2-stroke and had knobby tires and stuff on it, and there's a little bit more adventure. But I don't think about that. But the ultimate apocalypse bike. It's funny. I did a story with Cycle World magazine a few years back I was just a photo model, overpaid photo model, where we tested apocalypse bikes. And I picked at the time the KTM 990 Baja, I think was the one I picked. We had a whole bunch of different ones, but in reality, I think we should have picked the KLR 650.
I think that was what was picked.
It was picked?
Because I remember this article actually pretty vividly because my uncle, Dennis, he showed me this article right before I took your class for the first time.
Oh.
And he was like, the KLR 650 was determined to be the best apocalyptic bike.
And he had one, which he proceeded to try to sell or sold and then bought a
990.
Yeah.
No, he still has the KLR.
Okay. So, yeah. So he took the one that I said was the best. Like any smart person should. Just whatever I say is the best motorcycle, you should just buy it. So come on, bring on all the beta questions and the TMs. TM actually got in touch with me and said, "Hey, do you want to come out to our compound and test some bikes? Because they're on lockdown too." So we'll see what happens. Okay. Did I tell you how awesome the riding was today, Logan?
Yeah.
Next question. Oh, it's this. I think didn't that guy? Oh no, I thought Joe Doyle had 2 questions. He did actually. What's that question? Oh, he's asking about the Klein Pullover test. So Joe's good. Joe's reading our tests.
The Joe Doyle says, "I like it. Just think it would like it better if it had a full zipper and not a pullover."
Then it wouldn't be a pullover. No. I get that. Like, there's just something about a pullover. They seem like they keep you warmer than zippered things. And I don't know what it is. I've always, you know how you like your hoodie? You have your hoodie that's comfortable and stuff like that. It's something about a pullover. Doesn't have a big zipper running down the front. I don't know. Maybe it's more comfortable. Yeah, but there's lots of jackets available, and this is a pullover, so it's probably a different thing. You could always cut it wide open and just sew a zipper on if you really needed to, but then it's not going to be waterproof. What does Eric Hermstad say?
Have you ever tested the goggles that have magnetic lenses like Havoc?
I have not in a motorcycle application. I have some snowboard goggles that that you throw the lens and they stick right on. Matt, have you tried any of those yet?
No, I have not.
No, yeah. So I don't have any experience with them. I know that there were some issues with the lenses, on the motorcycle. They think that the crashes and impacts. I remember goggle people talking about this might be a little bit more than what the magnets can kind of take in some instances. So I mean, if you're going to hit your head in the ground, you're going to hit your head in the ground. It doesn't really matter, but who knows? I know a lot of times, goggle lenses, when you start smashing your face in the ground, aren't your friend. So I think trying to keep them encased in rubber is better than having them flying around. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I know. So I've not tried them. I'd like to. What does Paul Van Hoyt say?
On the Klein Pullover, he's said wearing armor underneath, assume there's room for that. And if so, did you have to size up?
So it depends, I guess, on the size armor and your size too. The fit is proper. I'll call it proper, but loose. It's loose so that you can wear, like if you're wearing like an armor that's tight on the body, the more roost, we call it roost protection as opposed to a full on chest protector. You're not going to have any problem at all under with the normal sizing, because I think maybe large is like a large plus. It's like a little bit up on what so they kind of expect that. I was able to put it on, and I generally wear an extra large jersey, and I was wearing a large in the pullover, and I was wearing a large pullover, and I was able to get it on over my backpack in driving rain once, because I just wanted to keep everything in my backpack, and it wasn't too tight. So, I think, and the good thing about most of these companies these days, when well, first of all, if you can find a dealer that stocks this stuff, go buy it at the dealer, and then you can try them on and reward that dealer for taking the risk to stock stuff. But, if you can't and you're buying it online, most of the online retailers have returns and stuff like that. We all know it's a pain in the ass, but it's good.
On the KTM 350 video, Peter Firestone said, what tires are on that bike?
Peter, on that particular bike, we had the Michelin. Did we put Michelin Star Crosses on it? No. They sent us some of their DOT tires. I'm going back because that's over a year old, so I'm kind of guessing. But I remember we put Michelin's on that thing for a while. We take the stock TKC 80s off right away, and then after those came off, I put Kenda Parker DTs on it, and both the Michelin's and the Kendas worked awesome. But at the time when the video was shot, it was on the Michelin. Oh man, I wish I could remember the numbers. But it says so in the video. I'm pretty sure someplace in there we talk about the tires. So maybe you didn't watch the whole video. It's maybe you know why. You know why you probably didn't watch it? Read the next question.
Charles H. commented, once again, your video sucks, Jimmy, because you are not smart enough to figure out how to get the good audio. Man, for such a know-it-all, you think you would be the best in the world at audio, too.
You like reading that, don't you, Logan? You were laughing at that.
I was.
You want to say that kind of stuff to me all the time, don't you?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Come on, not because I'm sitting next to you. Like when you and your dad hop in the truck, you're just like saying, "Man, Jimmy's such a this." You do, don't you?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You're not going to tell me. Well, Charles H. So Charles H. I'm glad he's going to let me talk about myself. You think? Should I? That's what he wants. So I was kind of curious because he's probably only the 15th person that told me the audio on that particular video sucked, and that was when we were just getting started. We every once in a while we learn, and we have learned a little bit about audio. So that's not my thing. I'm really good at riding motorcycles and telling you how they work and stuff like that. Pushing these buttons on these controllers. You should just Charles H. should be watching this right now. He should watch the beginning of the show, and he should watch me fiddle fart with all these damn knobs and computer dials and pushing buttons. And he would be impressed because I think I'm a better audio engineer than Charles H. And I'm sure as hell a better motorcycle rider. I know I look way better than him. Just look at me. Like, Look at the caterpillar I got just tamely growing across the thing. Charles H., I went to your YouTube page, as a matter of fact, because I'm so infatuated with you now because you like me. I want you to call into the show. I responded back and told you that you should call into the show because I'd like to talk to you, just, because I want your tips. Because I hate it when someone throws out awesome advice like you suck and you know it all and what else? I'm surprised he didn't make a mean stab at Gabe because everybody likes doing that too. As Gabe shakes his head over there, just shrugs it off. He's like, I don't care. I get to ride brand new dirt bikes and you don't, right? Yeah, Gabe's riding something he can't even talk about today. It's pretty good times out here in Valley of the Dirt People. But anyway, so Charles H., I went to your YouTube page because, everything's public on the internet. And I found out that you have a section on there called...
This is the YouTube overlords. This is the SoundCloud checker of sound. Shut up. Be quiet. Charles H. is just picking on you. You are a horrible audio engineer, but he's bringing out the bad things in people. He's making you rant about something you shouldn't even care about. So, Charles H., quit being such a mean person. Jimmy knows how to ride motorcycles, and he's trying to help you, even if it is only coming out of one ear. And it sounds like he has a nasally voice. Just be nice.
Why am I going on this rant? I don't even care.
It's your show. You do what you want.
Right. Yeah. Hey, call into the show sometime. I want to talk to you. I really do. You want to read that one again, Logan? Was it funny? No. Go ahead. What's next?
The CRF 250 rally video.
Okay, 'cause we're going to direct all these questions at Matt because Matt should have been boning up for this show, doing research and studying.
I was studying astrophysics.
Right. Okay, you're excused. Go ahead, Logan.
Alan Schuben. Do you prefer having the ABS option or not? Is it just one more thing to go out, or it is very useful feature? I'm 50% dirt, 50% road. Thank you for a great video.
Gabe, on the Honda 250L, was there an off-road ABS or was just on and off? It was just on and off. You could have all ABS front and rear, so you could never turn the rear off. No, you could only turn the rear off. Okay, so basically that means it's an off-road. We call that an off-road ABS setting. Too many bikes running around here. I have a tough time remembering everything, so I refer to my experts that I feed cat food. I think that the ABS for a novice rider doesn't have a lot of riding experience, especially when you can turn the rear off-road and have it full ABS on-road is probably a pretty good thing because the ABS is getting good. It is almost as good as most riders, especially novice riders. So in that aspect, I think it's a good feature. I like the fact that you can turn off the rear and have some off-road ABS. I'd like you to be able to turn it all off so you can learn, you can learn to not rely on it 100%. So you can get a feel for what, if the bikes are all computerized and they're going to, pretty soon they're going to be balancing for you. And pretty soon, well, we have bikes now that have fly-by-wire, and guess who's controlling the throttle? Not you. So it's just, I always think that, it's kind of good to, be able to go to a full analog thing and learn stuff. But I think Honda's done a really good job with that ABS on that bike. And most of the time you won't feel it. And if you do feel it, you probably have both wheels and you feel the rear wheel like not skidding when it should skid off-road. But generally, how much does the ABS kick into the front? Not very often. Yeah, if you're riding aggressive, like if you're riding like a trail bike, a motocross bike, you're going to feel it because it's not meant to do that, especially when you put more aggressive tires on it. Because that's the other thing is the ABS is tuned for the tires that come stock on that motorcycle. And when you have a very round, slick tire like that bike has, it knows that it's skidding a little bit more. So if you put more traction on that front wheel, i.e. a knobby, and you're off-road, it causes the bike to think, it grabs more traction. So it activates the ABS quite a bit more than what it was tuned for. So that's always something to kind of consider when you're changing your tires on a ABS equipped bike. A lot of times, it's especially it's something as dynamic and changing as the surfaces, you would ride on off road. You're going to get some different sensations that may overwhelm the computer. So, Alan, hope I answered that question for you. Yeah.
Gray Wings commented, "I will get a rally mostly because it looks good."
I agree. Yeah, that's a good looking bike. I think
it's a valid point.
I think Ricky Brayback would agree. I think Johnny Campbell would agree. Right? You've sat next to them, right? They'd agree. Can we say they would agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a good looking bike. It's probably one of the best looking stock bikes. I mean, just looks. They nailed the look on that thing for Read the test. We talk about the looks. We kind of beat it up for the looks because it looks so good, and then you kind of like go, yeah. So, anyways,
yeah,
that was our strange take on it.
My dad bought I think the first year that they came out with the Rally. My mom and dad bought it. They tried getting back into dirt bikes for a little bit
because your mom had the L.
Yeah, the first L.
Right.
They got new ones a few years ago, and then they sold them again. But
right.
Yeah.
Francis Bellinger commented, "Where is all that weight come from?"
Yeah, that's not. So Francis Bellinger, let's go around the table here. How do you spell weight?
Weight.
Okay, got it. You want to agree?
I agree. Yeah.
I would probably have to look at a dictionary because I was an editor of a World Big magazine or something like that. So okay, hey, don't worry, Francis. It'd be with a name like Francis. You're probably from another country and like this second, third language, whatever. Okay, just kidding. Go. You confused Logan.
Not from plastic parts, motor and frame, I guess.
Where does the extra weight? So what? It's what? How many is it? 40 pounds, 30 pounds? What was the number? Heavier, yeah. 30. 20 pounds heavier. I think there's a lot of plastic on there. There's brackets. There's a lot of extra little things on it. So I don't know where it comes from. It's amazing that when you have a bike that's built like in Japan or Austria, what it weighs versus when you build something that's really similar in a country like, Indonesia or India or Taiwan. It's amazing how much weight they can add to a very similar sized thing. And sometimes you pick up the frame and you go, whoa. Or, you pick up a wheel and you go, whoa, what'd they make this out of? So that's how you get the cost down is try a different location. Hey, you know what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to scroll down the questions in the chat room to see where we got. David Pott says yes on format. Okay, so all you guys that yes on a format. I'm looking at all the guys and they're saying I'm an engineer. Yes on a format. You should bring guests to the show that they can carry their. So they bring guests that bring their riding backpacks. Victor, I have a question from Victor today that I think you should go to the end and find Victor's question right there and decipher. You start working on that question, decipher what he was asking. Mitch, beer is not a format.
Is tequila though?
Yeah, tequila. No, it's not really a format. A gong hit. George says I should have a gong hit. Maybe I won't call George. It would cost a viewer $5 to hit the gong. Are you trying to make me money again? Hey, I want to tell you something. I did some numbers today. I was running the numbers on this show, and we're gonna this. Everybody's having this downturn in this economy. We are gonna have a huge upturn because of this. And everybody thinks, it's because everybody's locked at home and they have nothing better to do but watch the show and stuff. But really what it is like, you know how when you start with zero and anything is a big, big improvement? Mm-hmm. That's where we're going with this. By the way, I would like to thank Klein. Klein has been one of our big supporters since the beginning of Dirt Bike Test. They've always been part of this. So if you want the best gear. Am I lying?
No.
No. You're wearing a Climb shirt. So am I. Hey, what did we get the shirt memo today? No. You didn't even talk. You just said no thanks. What's the best gear, Matt?
Climb. That stuff I tested a few years ago, still holding up for the most part.
Right. Yeah, so Matt used to test stuff before he got a job and went to college, and Matt goes to college and just disappears. He still comes and helps every once in a while, but I went on a rant about how durable the gear was last time. Actually, today I wore that same 4-year-old gear. I wore it today because I thought it was going to be muddy. I thought it might have been a little muddy, and I'm like, it needs to be washed anyway, so I was going to just wash it. But no, it's laying on the floor again. It's going to go out again tomorrow. They do make some of the best gear. Super durable. And the new stuff, not only here's the problem, is they always update the looks. Like, even if the gear stays the same. So the gear that I wear mostly the Dakar stuff and the Mojave stuff are the two lines that I use most of the time. They always update it in, like every 3 years it gets a full makeover. And when they do that, it's huge. And I'm wearing the old stuff and it pisses me off because the knees are a little bit too tight and the fit isn't as good. And it's heavy compared to the new stuff. New stuff's really light. And then they always add a new colorway, and it's like, oh man, my old colorway, it still works fine. But it's looks cool. So yeah, but it's generally not gonna wear out on you. Good stuff. So thanks to them, as they have supported us. But they're paying for the bandwidth we're using up right now, and maybe one of those lights right there.
Just one.
Just that one right there. Let's see. Cameron Coatney remembers the Honda Fat Cat and the BW 350. The Zuma 125. Whoa, you what? You rode one from Danny Lorenz rode a Zuma 125 from New York City to LA. 4,400 miles, all back roads. Where is the story about that? You got to have pictures. You should have a story, and I'd like to put it on Dirt Bike Test.
I was going to say.
George, I don't want to look at the CT 125 Hunter. What is it? Is it old CT 70 or something? Who knows what it is? The Apocalypse bike, XR 400. Okay, San Felipe Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob. Yeah. Hey, you're still commenting all these years. No, it's good. I haven't seen Bob for a while. Interesting thing is I've sold off all of my XR 400s, but, and Victor, you might be listening right now. One of them, when I sell them pretty cheap. And I always tell the person that sells them, they cannot sell them to anybody else. They have to sell them back to me. They always have to sell them back to me so I can give it to another person that would want one of these bikes. So I may or may not have an XR 400 with a California license plate. It's pretty cherry, available to a good person. And I'm actually thinking about Gabe from Torture Test Magazine. He kind of hold that shirt up right behind you, Matt. Pull that shirt up, yeah. So it's definitely Gabe sent it to me. He's been busy. He's been busy working and stuff. He likes KTM Tears, and he has a new video up on the XR 250. He basically won the world championship of motorcycles on the XR 250. He beat every KTM and anything else that came on a bike that probably shouldn't have ever been started again. So he sent that T-shirt, and I'm actually thinking about offering it up to him first, but it's probably too nice for him because it's actually in really, really good shape. And
it's not like the one I rode a few years ago.
If he tries to kill this bike, I think the bike will kill him. I think that's how good this bike is. It will kill him, and then with that goes Torture Test Magazine. But I need to get Torture Test over here, and then like dangle some fruits of the new bike world in front of him and see if I can change his tone. But sometimes you just don't have money. You can't afford the crap that flows through this place, right? Mm. Well, if you're Logan, you do, like brand new KTM 125 one time and then new YZ 250 the next time. And nope, I don't want to go riding. Nope, right?
Wait, you would say no to a KTM 125?
He has a KTM 125.
Oh, dude, I'm jealous. Because I really want a new bike.
You know what you need to do is you'd crush it because you put on some weight now that you're sitting around at college. The funny thing is like that would have been the optimum bike today on the sand track. And you should have called up Matt and told him he could take it, and just to wring it out so the oil doesn't pool down to the bottom of the crankcase.
I take it in a heartbeat. Like, ever since I rode a 150 a few years ago, like I've been wanting one of those new KTM or Husqvarna 125s, 150s so bad.
They're fun. Not as good as my 2005 125 YZ 125. I actually was going to ride that today, but I'm kind of afraid it's top end time. Because it's running so good. And if anybody knows anything about like small bore two strokes, when they start running really good, like noticeably better, they sound good, they're crisp, better than ever. You know what that means? Rebuild the motor now before you have to, because you're going to have to, and it's going to be way more expensive, if not cost prohibitive. So, and I mean, I'm just a magazine guy. I should just like blow it up and then just go, oh, I'm going to do some fancy schmancy rebuild and get all the parts for free and all this stuff like that. I'm not like that. Like I'm going to go and I almost took the pipe off to look up inside the exhaust port just to kind of see if there's blow by or where we're at with this. But it's just running a little bit too good. That's going to make more noise. Put that away. What is this? This is the World Championship Dakar winning sponsorship lip balm, by the way. Jimmy Lewis Off-Road Training. That's what keeps me going. Sponsors. Where are we at on this? Danny Lorenz hates pullovers too. The guy that rode across the country on his 125 Zuma. Let's see.
He might not have done it as easily if he always had to like pull it off and then try to pull it back on. Like that might add some difficulty to the journey.
It comes on and off so easy though. It's like it opens up big wide and there's one on the side, but I mean you really don't have to take it off that much.
Okay.
So let's see, where are we at here? Where can I get my hands on a Parker DT 100 118? I don't know. Not out of my shipping container. I'm on low tide with tires right now. Really low tide. Let's see. Stopping all the time. Steve Conklin, who did our Alt-Rider Adventure Bars thing. He's working on something up. And he says that basically says doing what we do is a pain in the ass. And he's right. I mean, at least producing the content. Valley of the Dirt People, quite possibly the best thing you have ever said. Most people take that as an insult around here. I mean, not us dirt bike people, but if, Janie,
yes, sir.
Being a Pahrump resident, Pahrump local, and I come in and said, is this Valley of the Dirt People if I came into your bar, Ramiro's, where you're the most nicest bartender in the entire town?
Suck it up more.
Okay. And usually get a hug when you come in, but we're past that at this point in our, crazy. I come in and said, is this the Valley of the Dirt People?
I would say yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
And if they're not, they're missing out.
Yeah, exactly. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. Someone linked me to this Charles H. Hey, Mitch, just go to the KTM 350. It's the impression it's a test I did with me and Dave Donatoni. We're sitting on a log talking about the bike. And yeah, the audio sucks. I'll agree with them. I'm not going to argue with them, but so yeah, go there and find him. He's Charles H or something like that. Read the comments on the one video we did. Let's see, on the BRC 500. I just had a laugh because we keep getting paid from them. Huh? Oh, wait a minute. I don't even remember. I have to watch that video again. I have to go back and do research. My brain cells are firing on one cylinder. Let's see. The question was, Victor's trying to defend his question there. Do you got that one? Let's handle Victor's question right now.
So Victor, I rode around 200 miles on the XR the other day. Mostly dirt roads, some whoops, but mostly flat. I noticed the bike not shaking, but oscillating up and down, barely noticeably. But so I finished the ride, got home, and my vision was blurry / double. I know that maybe I hit something on the sand.
Okay. We're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop right there for a couple of reasons because there's a lot to process here. I pre-read this question and thought about it, and so having done lots of miles on the Honda air-cooled 4-strokes, if you're on the gas and stuff like that, I have had the sensation where it feels like the whole, because the frame is so flexy on a lot of those things, especially the 600. I've had the sensation where the whole bike feels like the motor is actually doing big, giant circles, like kind of slow. So it would take 1 second for it to do a circle where maybe it went up about 10 millimeters and forward about 10 millimeters, down 10 millimeters, back 10 millimeters. Like, you have the sensation where the motor is actually rolling around because the tires are going pretty fast, but it just feels like the whole motor is doing these strange oscillations. And it's probably, actually the suspension flexing and everything flexing. So I have felt the sensation on XRs. It is kind of common. And then you kind of go into, where was the part about, I finished the ride and I got home and my vision was blurry and double. What did you drink? Like, what tequila did you grab? And did you grab like what if you're really one of those poor people? What did you drink, that alcohol? What the denatured alcohol? Is that what you slug down and it goes bad for your eyes? Moonshine. Yeah. So if it was moonshine, I think that has a lot more to do with the thing. And then he gives it away here when he says, maybe I hit something. Yeah, you hit the moonshine. Yeah.
The moonshine hit him.
Okay, keep going, Logan. Start with maybe I hit something.
Maybe I hit something in the sand wash, and probably the wheel is out of round, but the blurry vision might be from the bike.
No. The blurry vision is not from the bike. We've already figured out where the blurry vision comes from. And if you hit something in a sand wash, you would know you hit something in a sand wash. And if the bike started, back to my old theory, what was the last thing you did? Well, if you hit the moonshine first, then you hit something in the sand wash, maybe you don't remember, and that's why the bike is mysteriously bouncing up and down.
It went away a day after, and I really noticed the wobble on the paved road. I will tune it.
What went away the next day? The hangover? The blurry vision? That usually goes together, but then you notice the wobble on the paved road. You will tune in at 7. Well, if you don't have blurry vision from next thing you know, you're going to say something mean to me on the chat room, and then you're going to get banned. You're going to go to Facebook jail again.
Again.
Hey, he got caught a couple weeks ago. He was trying to be nice to us, and he always is nice to us. Victor's awesome. I just picking on him. So if you hit something, there's so many ways to go on this one. I just don't know. I mean, I'm really trying to be honest and answer the question. Sometimes, yeah, if you whack the wheel hard enough on something and it knocks it out of balance, it's funny because your wheels are rotating on most dirt bikes are at different rates because you have a 21-inch front wheel and an 18-inch rear. They're not the same size. They oscillate. They go different. So if they're unbalanced, the oscillation actually it goes in harmony, it goes out of harmony, in harmony, out of harmony. It does all this weird stuff. And so if you knock something silly on the bike and you put one out of balance, sometimes it's really out of balance and sometimes it matches and it goes back and forth. Best thing to do is put the bike up on a stand, just let the wheels, well, the front wheel is easy to do. The rear, you kind of have to take the chain off, but you can kind of balance them there or just spin them up in the air or be careful. Not that I don't trust you, but put the bike up on the stand. You can actually start it and get the rear wheel spinning, while it's off the ground, and you start, increasing the speed of that wheel and you watch that bike shake up and down on that stand. That'll tell you something's out of balance. And that's why a lot of street bikes do not come with rim locks, or like when we were racing desert, a lot of times, especially Baja, we would run 2 rim locks offset 180 degrees from each other to kind of help keep the wheel balanced and also add extra, bite on that tire in the event of a flat. So hopefully, Victor, I not only insulted you, but I gave you some advice. Is this where we need to? Is this where we need to call George?
Maybe.
Yeah, tequila. Did you reply that tequila may have been involved before I started explaining that? As a bartender, you would. Yeah, you would know, right? Yeah. You see this on a daily basis. Tequila is involved in this show. Speaking of that, Go ahead. Next question.
Michael from the last show commented on his Husky 300.
Oh, no. So remember we talked about this, and I actually called him today because I was so curious, and that's why I rode a Husky 300 today. So, let me go ahead and read that, and we'll explain it.
He took it for another ride with a fresh spark plug, and after a warm-up, he continued to ride aggressively, hoping to win back my dignity on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. After about 10 minutes while going slow on a turn, the bike died, and I ended up walking home. When I got home, I pulled the spark plug out again black. But this time I found debris inside the spark plug. I attached the photo of one of the pieces I pulled out of the plug. I pulled the head off, got scared. I really screwed up something and dropped it at the dealer this morning.
So, Michael, I literally called him because I'm curious. I want to know what the problem is, because sometimes you get somebody that's actually pretty articulate, explains a problem well, and we kind of went into a deep dive on maybe why his bike was running rich. And it's a customer bike of mine that was sitting in our container for, I'd have to ask Jeremy how long it's been in here, but it's been in there for a long time. And so I went in and started it up because it's been sitting, and just to see how it responded as far as like how loaded up was it, just to work on this question. And then so I started over the past few days. I've started it a few times, let it idle a little bit, shut it down, tried to see where it was at. Then I got this email, and he sent the pictures, and this time he did send me the proper picture of the plug, and I feel bad because I was a little bit mean, just telling him, hey, you need to see the center of the plug, not the side and things. But some people, this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. This is what I do for a living, is diagnose motorcycle problems, ride and test them. So it's common things for me. And at one time I was that guy. I didn't know the first thing about reading a spark plug or anything like that. And maybe, because I was a kid, I was probably never that guy, because all I wanted to do was find the end of the throttle cable. But if you're being careful and stuff, you may not open your bike all the way up. You may not twist the throttle all the way. So we talked about it a little bit, and his bike had been detonating. It was obvious by the pictures, and the little piece of debris he pulled out. The reason his bike stopped is that piece of debris basically went between his spark plug and the electrode and caused it to, it was like a kill switch. And he actually took the piece of debris apart and kind of broke it down. There was carbon. It was kind of carbon coated, but it had a small piece of metal in there, which looked to me maybe like piece of the piston. And so I always roll back to that same thing. Like, what was the last thing you did to the bike? What caused this? And he really hasn't done. It's not modified. It's all stock. It got the reflash, but the update, which the bike I have here has not had, and it needs it, because I've ridden the KTM with the update, and I'm like, wow, it's better. And by no means are these bikes absolutely perfect, and is fuel injection on 2-strokes yet absolutely perfect. It's still evolving. It's just like 4-strokes. We're only 3 years in. And if you think about how bad fuel injected 4-strokes were 3 years into their evolution compared to where they are now, everybody's learning this stuff. So he did the smart thing. He took it to the dealer because he was outside of his realm, and that's what luckily the dealers are there for. Unfortunately for him, it was a 6-hour round trip drive. So he's kind of committed, and he's still kind of waiting to hear exactly what had happened, and we're kind of paying attention to see it. But we talked about all the things and reasons, but it was really strange. Actually, when it, looked at his cylinder head and the top of the piston, the pictures he sent me, it was actually pretty clean. It was all black, but it was clean. It wasn't like chunks of carbon or big pieces of carbon and stuff. And it was really strange that it was detonating, because I had pulled off our 2020 KTM 300 after I put 20 or 30 hours on it. I pulled the cylinder head off to look inside of mine to see, because you hear the quote detonation sounds, and I wanted to see what it was doing to the piston. At that point, had done nothing, and his bike has the same thing. It has about 30 hours on it. So, and I asked him, like, are you running, decent gas? Are you running, he's like, yeah, 91 or 93. So that shouldn't be a problem. Actually, we have a question about about some of that stuff. But anyways, we're kind of paying attention to what Michael's bike's doing. We'd like to learn about it. And because, of course, he's been doing a lot of research on the internet, and he's seen every single bad post about how every single KTM and Husky fuel injected bike blows up like within 20 hours. Actually, it's probably like 11 of the 9,000 that have been sold, the 10, 20,000 have been sold, maybe 11 of them, but every picture of that is on the internet. And so he's really worried. If I spent $10,000, $9,900 on a dirt bike, I would be concerned too.
Yeah. Seems like a reasonable thing to be.
But if you're like George, which we got to get George on the phone. I'm going to call him in a second here. If you're like George, you just buy that bike and then you hand it over to me and you say, there's no way that you would go race the most destructive motorcycle race in the world, King of the Motos, on my bike. And I said, yeah, I would. So read that one.
Greg Rossell. What is bad about running a blend of or all LLLI maybe 100 AV gas? I got 90 octane ethanol free and mixed 4 gallons of that with 1 gallon 100 octane. Aside from just the old that's made for planes, is there really anything wrong with doing this? My bike is a KTM 300 XCW carbureted. I have heard people also asking if it was okay to use it on TPI bikes. Not everyone seems to be able to get the ethanol-free fuel where they live, so they wonder if this would be an alternative.
So, welcome to the show, George.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everybody? Okay. Matt can hear you. Logan can't. Logan's going to be in a fog here. You know how every once in a while you see the picture at the show and he's like looking like deer in the headlights?
No, he's good.
That's Gabe does that. Gabe does that to him on purpose. I know. You're gonna have to beat up Gabe if he does that again. So, hey, so did you hear the question?
Yeah, I got it in front of me. I'm looking at it.
Right. So so should I be running avgas or a mix of avgas in your bike? Low lead 100? If Mojave Bob was sitting in here right now, he was the king of low lead 100. He used to have containers of that stuff at some of the properties we co-jointly owned, in case he rode there, so he could put gas in it. That's what he ran in his bikes. So here's the short answer. They do not test, when they've developed this bike, they do not test it with that fuel. They test it with the basically pump gas. That's what it's designed to run on. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you plan on doing some fuel tuning based on the fuel that you're running. It's, if you can get the ethanol gas, I think that's fine. It's probably better than the ethanol gas, as long as you're not letting your bike sit. Well, if you're letting your bike sit, ethanol gas is bad. If you're not letting it sit, no big deal. If you're burning through your gas and use it consistently, it's not going to be that big of a deal in the short term. I think over long periods of time, and I'd probably have to get Chris Reel here to break down.
I think he's watching.
I know maybe he might be able to
logged in. I think
pipe in. Yeah, I might be able to pipe in on this. But my impression is if you're using your gas and burning it, just run the 91. If you can get 90, depends on what part of the country you're in, or even like at what altitude you're at. Because if you're at higher altitudes, my understanding is that the octane is not as important. I understand that the 100 octane low lead has a little bit of lead. I don't think our bikes, quote, need that anymore, especially since your two-stroke doesn't have valves in it. Maybe the lead might help lubricate the rings, but that's what the oil's for. I don't know. You could go down all these different paths, but just run pump gas in it. You know, unless you're really trying to get the maximum amount of performance out of it. And at that point, you're going to have to do a lot of stuff to tune the motor to make it better. And aside from doing some real small things, I don't think you're going to get, you know, that level of performance. I mean, unless you really want to go down I think everybody just wants to buy something and bolt it on and tune it up and make everything better. And that's hard to do compared to stock. And I'm just saying,
well, if it's not pre-detonating, which you should be able to hear.
Yes.
Why would you go up in octane?
You know, I did this back when I was on 80s. When I was a little kid on 80s, we bought race gas because we thought, hey, we were racing and we needed race gas. And I didn't like what it did to the bike. It made the throttle response like really kind of, it was like kind of fake. I would call it fake, super crispy. I didn't like it. It just felt like it kind of revved up a little too quick in the beginning. And so I knew this when I was kind of like, I felt it when I was young, and we didn't jet for it or anything like that.
It burns harder and slower, right?
For the most part,
higher octane.
Yes.
Harder and slower burn.
Yeah. I think that's the you know, I'm sure there'll be a sub discussion on the forum about exactly what it does and what it is, but just run the pump gas, let the bike do its thing.
Hey, back to Michael's deal with that motor.
Right.
You know, that's something you could test and put up on dirt bike test with a link is a bore scope. Something you plug into your phone, you could lower down in there.
Oh, like the thing you can get at Harbor Freight. It, you know, plugs your phone. Look in the spark plug. Yeah, look in the
piston in those walls and see what it's telling you.
I think I have one of those someplace. I never use it. I just tear things apart.
Yeah, no. But if you didn't want to, it sure dropped in a spark plug hole easy.
Yeah.
Look around.
Is it just like a little camera, like on a little foldable stick or like a little string?
Yeah, it's like on a flexi stick, and it's a little camera that plugs into your phone or Wi-Fi's to your phone or whatever it does, and you can record the video and everything.
Huh.
Yeah, I think they're really cheap. I think you can get them for $30 or $40 for a nice one that's waterproof and everything. You use it for sink clogs or whatever. They come with a long wire, I think. But yeah, it'd be something nice to add to the toolbox.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to announce that this show has really jumped the shark now because Cameron Coatney's mom, who he just said hi to, has joined the show. So hi, Cameron Coatney's mom. And he pointed out, she must really be bored, or she's stalking you on the Facebooks right now, Cameron. So just to let you know.
Hey, Jimmy, back
yes.
on topic, because that's part of what I do other than pick on you. Chris Real just posted up, if you have an O2 sensor and use leaded fuel, expect to need a sensor in a short time. So I guess leaded fuel burn up that O2 sensor is what it's saying if I'm reading between the lines here.
Yeah, there's no O2 sensor on the KTM 300, but yeah, no, that's a good thing to point out. What other questions should we answer there? How about this one here? How about Brad Lou?
For the CRF 450X, is there a 4-gallon tank available yet? Looks to be a Super DRZ replacement.
The CRF 450X would be an awesome upgrade from a DRZ 400, but you're not, as far as I know, you're not going to find anything more than like a 3.2 gallon tank. I know Achirby's doesn't have one available for it. IMS has one, but it's just a gallon more. They don't have the big, I don't think they have the really big one for it just yet. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
Feel bad for Brad. He seemed very interested about this 4-gallon tank.
Yeah, you can run the 3-gallon tank and then put a giant loop gas bag on your back, and then
yeah. just get a bunch of like Ziploc bags you can put on the side of the gas tank with like some duct tape.
And just so that Victor knows, Jen Morton says, "You're not crazy. My eyeballs bounce on my XR too." Okay.
Think they're making the Moonshine together?
Yeah, Dirt Bike Mike. I got the picture of the plug right this time. So Dirt Bike Mike is Michael with the Husky 300. So just so if you want to identify them on the comments and stuff like that. What's the next one? Where are we at? We confused?
Oh, on the KTM 300 video, I think. Arthur Pirna commented, great video information coming from a guy who races and knows how to wrench a bike. Great content. This video actually helped me on my purchase.
Well, thanks, Arthur. You should have bitched about the sound quality. I mean, come on. I mean,
I need to go watch this video now. I actually haven't seen this.
The one with the horrible sound quality? Yeah, well, let's turn the sound off. And then you can just watch my lips move and just admire. I don't have the caterpillar mustache, but you just admire me in front of the camera. And
what's
Dave,
the point of watching the video?
I don't know. He obviously listened to it because he complained about the sound. I don't know.
I'll leave a nasty comment too.
Oh, thanks.
I'll give you honest advice.
Okay, so one of the other things I decided I was going to do was go on to EXC. Oh, we have a whole other page of questions, don't we?
I think there's two more.
No, that's the one from the EXC performance, EXC and FE performance page. I think there it is right there. So this is a page that Taco Mike kind of administers, tacomoto.co. He helps out with a dirt bike test a little bit. It's, Taco Mike, it's time to send me another check. as I'm going to go and beat up on your people on your forum or something like that. No, I'm not going to beat up. I'm going to offer sage advice. We're currently I have nothing to sell, but I have this crazy idea about I'll help you make a tune or two on those get ignitions. I'm still learning. I'm still learning about how to do this, but so I went on to the EXC and FE performance group, and I'm going to rip off the last 5 to 7 questions, and I'm going to answer them without referring to a reference manual. So Logan, go. What's the first question?
Cody, knock block.
Knock block?
No block.
Knoblock. Yeah.
I don't think that's right, but I think that's the best way you could have pronounced it. I think you changed this.
Got it.
Pulled blinkers and horn off. Used hand signals. Went on road. Never ride at night. No reason for this to be here. Anyone rip this big clunker off and just leave it that way. Wondering if it will affect the headlight if it's unhooked and off the bike.
So he's talking about that literally pretty big instrument cluster on the KTM and Husky EXCs and FEs. It's I'll tell you the number one problem with that is if it moves out towards the grip, it actually starts interfering with the clutch. I've seen so many riders that don't realize it, and they wonder why their clutch is kind of like bumping into this thing and not the clutch engagement is wonky and stuff, especially when if you have like small little tiny fingers like me and you have to adjust that lever in close and the adjuster comes out, it actually rubs into that thing. That's the number one problem with it. There are companies that make smaller ones that are a little bit more compact and give you some more room on the handlebars. But if you take it off and you unplug all the stuff, that's all you're doing is unplugging all the stuff. So it no longer works, and it's not going to affect anything if you don't need your headlight and you don't need your turn signals and you don't need your horn. You don't need your high beam flasher and stuff like that. It's not going to make a difference. The bike will do just fine without that. So that's my answer. Did I do good?
He just wants to get rid of that.
He just wants to get rid of that plastic out there. Yeah. He is the perfect candidate for the 500 XCW, by the way. So when you're taking that stuff off, you would probably be much better off with the 500 XCW that basically has a single button sitting over there that shuts the bike off. You push on it, it turns the bike off. So just saying. So Cody, knob block. Yeah. Don't hate me.
Shelby Kyle. Leaking at the front sprocket. I have the
Schematic.
schematic below, do I just need to order number 24 and 25?
So Shelby had a picture of the output shaft assembly of a KTM 500 EXC or something similar to that. I didn't really dive that deep into it. And so he's asking about like the two parts. I think he was asking about the O-ring and the shaft seal or something. He wasn't sure where it was leaking from. So in countershaft sprockets generally, and this applies to all bikes, it depends on what wore out and what's worn out. You can't just look at it, and you have to disassemble it and kind of figure it out. I mean, sometimes you can, when you start pulling it apart, you can look, and I've seen it come through the center of the shaft and get past the threads in the bolt and work its way out that way. I've seen it come between the seal, the outer seal, and the smash bearing. I've seen it come through the center shaft, past the O-ring that's in there. And I've seen people take their bearing piece that slides on the output shaft and put it in backwards, and there's a groove for the O-ring, and then smash the O-ring all to hell and then put it on backwards. And I've seen all kinds of stuff done differently. KTMs have a crush washer. There are upgrades and aftermarket ones for that as well. There's all kinds of stuff that can go wrong with your output shaft. Most of the time, the bolt comes loose, stuff wiggles around, or the seal just plain goes out, or you wrap something like, you get twine wrapped up around it, or a wire goes in there and runs across the seal. I typically
a lot of dirt and crap,
or just dirt. Yeah,
you got chain oil around.
Or you have these kids that love chain lube, love spraying chain lube all over everything, and they put a ton of chain lube on there. And the next thing we do is go ride down a dusty road, and then your entire swing arm and chain and sprocket and wheel and fender.
Come on. Keep it moving. This is where I need my gong, Jimmy.
Oh, the gong?
Answer his question.
Well, you got to pay $5 to knock that gong.
Okay.
So there's a lot of reasons. What I would do, if you're going to take the time to go in there and do that, I would go ahead and replace almost everything. If you're going to do the quick fixed, you just figure out what it is and just get that one part. I would probably, you're going to need a seal. You're going to need that O-ring, and you're going to need to make sure that the crush washer isn't destroyed from being installed improperly. But if you're going to take the time, go in there, clean it out, pull the seal out. You can usually hook it with a nice tool, or a spring puller works. 2 spring pullers work great at going in there, capturing that seal and popping it out, and then putting that seal back in, put in a new O-ring. Generally the seal and the bearing come as a kit. A lot of times there's kits like All Balls and Pivot Works and stuff make kicks like that. You can buy all the stock parts. So
hey, you know what? I just did that on my 500, and mine was leaking from the O-ring, so out the center.
Yeah.
Not the center of the bolt hole. I think the bolt's probably blind into that shaft, but
yeah, on the KTM it is.
There's a center and an outer, regular conventional seal. But I just went to Rocky Mountain and pulled up their schematics. And actually, the schematics come up with a kit for that fix.
Yeah.
So it includes a spacer and stuff. I think I ended up with one spacer I didn't need. But unless you're just getting chip on.
I heard when you was that the time when you did that, and then all of a sudden your bike started running funny, or is that the other side of the motor?
No, that was when I pressure washed the bike out off the stand, and it busted the stator cover.
Right. Okay. Which led to so you pressure washed your bike off the stand, and it led to the bike running bad. Did you file a warranty? Did you file a warranty claim?
No, it didn't lead to it running bad. It just led to a bunch of a new cover and a bunch of stuff that
other stuff.
We can talk about on another show.
Chain of command.
bunch of things.
Did you take pictures and put it on the internet?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't do that. So it didn't happen.
Well, Jimmy, you know why he messed up on washing his bikes? Because he didn't have him wash all the rental bikes when he was helping out with the riding school when he first started.
He's an old guy. You don't start like old guys. You treat him with respect. It's not like you kids that you start. You got to start at the ground floor. Where do you start at around here, Logan? What was your first job at this school? When I have a school?
Air pressure.
Air pressure. And then it led to doing the next involved task of
What? Bike wash.
bike wash. Yeah. Yeah. You know.
Well, maybe George need more pressure washing the bike.
Yeah,
You know,
George.
it's a pressure washer.
Listen to listen to the listen to the idiots. I mean, listen to the people that as an idiot that I brought up. Sage advice.
So yeah, I'll tell you exactly what happened there. You know, I'm just kind of trying to help out. So I'm helping Gabe. I get on the pressure washer. I mean, it's the end of class. There's customers around. Everybody's pressing flesh and high-fiving, and I go over and I help Gabe wash bikes, and then
Gabe kicked you out from washing bikes.
No, Gabe comes over and criticizes how I was not washing.
He
bikes,
told you.
right?
He told you how you don't know how to wash a bike.
See,
right.
he needed the
So,
practice.
and I know because he had that Jimmy look. He's Jimmy trained, and he gave that kind of demeaning. You screwed up. So I walked away.
Okay, so that's that. You learned that from me walking away.
Customers. No, I walked away because he was criticizing how I washed the bike. So I just popped a beer and talked with customers and sat on my butt like a 58-year-old should and talked with customers and had a good time.
Right. Yeah. Enjoyed.
So it was a teachable moment.
Teachable moment. Like to have teachable moments.
Teachable moment was let the kids do the work and you just have a beer and watch them while they're talking to customers.
You ever seen that before?
Tons of times.
Right. Okay. What's our next one?
Sam Putterson. Okay, anyone know what this plug is supposed to go to? I took apart the front of my bike to install the moto-minded super mount, and I am left scratching my head. See the red arrow?
So Sam Punderson had a picture of the wiring. I'll call it the spaghetti octopus of wires residing behind the headlight of your KTM or Husky EXC, and he'd pulled it off and found a new wire. And there's a lot of wires back there that go to a lot of things. And I'm going to go back to the sage advice that I like to bring up all the time. It was like, what was the last thing you did? Okay, so was that wire not connected to anything previous? Because there are a couple that just dangle back there. Then don't worry about it because it wasn't connected to anything to then. It's not connected to anything now. Don't worry about it. But if you disconnected it from something and you don't know where it went, maybe you should have, and I learned this from the kids, taken a picture of it before you took it apart. Or there's always this really interesting thing that comes with most of the motorcycles that we buy new. It's called the manual. And it has a wiring diagram and schematic in it that shows the path and use of every wire on that motorcycle, often color-coded for your convenience. So you can use that thing as well to figure out what that wire goes to. But I would always kind of default back to the first thing. If you unplugged it from something, you should know what you plugged it into. And so when, and this leads us into, I'm going to have you skip down to this question next. It leads into the next question that I'm going to be asked.
Hey, along the lines of wiring, Jimmy.
Right.
You know, something I've always done in those things, when I'm looking at wires or whatever, I look for any wear, like where it's been rubbing or pushed together. And then I don't necessarily reroute it, but I just change it a little when I put it back together. Mm-hmm. So it's not rubbing on the same spot, so maybe it gets a little life out of it.
That's always smart to do to look at the wires. If there is a weakness in the KTM and that electrical system, they use very lightweight wires, and if they get pinched or ground on or underneath the gas tank between the mount and the frame, you need to pay attention to that stuff. You really do. But I
was going to add too and this is a tech show. Got to give some tech tips every now and then, Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
The other thing I'll do or just kind of notice is like where my wires go up towards my brake light switch and the dual sport bikes and everything, and they're usually cabled off to something up there. I always kind of change that point where they flex, when the forks go up and down. Mm-hmm. I just rotate that around so it's not always just flexing in one spot. So that's about all I can bring to the table as far as tech talk. But those are the little things I think about when I'm looking at wires and routing. And that's
way more meticulous than I am with that stuff. If it's a race bike, and their critical wires and stuff, I pay a little bit more attention to that. But yeah, okay. So what's that question?
Mike Spurgeon.
That's Mike.
Spurgeon.
That's Taco Mike, by the way.
Oh. Name withheld to protect the parties involved.
Okay, so he's not talking about me. I'm gonna read this question. I'm taking this away from you right now. I want to dive deep into this one. The name has been withheld to protect the parties involved. Background: a homie recently bought a Get ECU and got it all installed and said it was a bit hard to start, but he got it running. He zipped up and down the block and said it ran great for a bit. Then it started to sputter and act up. He got back home and it died, and it started up and it ran again. So this guy was obviously a Vegas local, so he brought it by Mike's house to have him take a look. So, Mike went in there, thought it was the ECU, and threw another one on, and they had the exact same problem. So that's good diagnostic, thinking, what was the last thing you changed, right? George? Matt, what was the last thing you changed?
Exactly. No.
The
ECU, the Get ECU, right?
But that's a trick question, because what does it take to get to the ECU?
Okay, there we go. The trick question. What did it take to get to the ECU? Well, actually, it doesn't take that. So the answer is so we figured we get to the basics: air, fuel, spark. Okay, that's good too. But my basics is, what was the last thing you did to this bike? Well, he put the ECU on. Then you're not getting enough information from the customer. Took a look at his fuel tank connector. It didn't look seated all the way. Click. Wasn't snapped in. Bike fired right up. So yeah, that was the story. It always goes back to this, people. Just trust me on this one. You don't need, actually, it's regular, it's just sage advice. What was the when something changes, what was the last thing you did to cause that change? It's very rare that just magically things happen. But
it goes back to all that stuff. I mean, you take a seat off and you clamp something down and pinch a wire, or, you're routing some tail light trick LED turn signal, and the wire gets cut. It doesn't cut for a little while until you ride the bike, and now you got problems. But I have to correct Mike. It's not just, what did he say, air, fuel, and spark? Mm-hmm. It's actually compression's the third component. There's air, fuel, mixture, spark, and then compression.
Yeah.
It's basics. But anyway, and he mentioned something about a ground. And the thing I've always learned with grounds is you get some bizarro stuff happening if you've got a weird ground.
Oh, hey, I know this kid named Mason Klein that you can check into with that.
Oh, was that his rally nav tower or something?
No, that was his his ground came disconnected during the Sonora rally, and his bike came to a screeching halt. And but yeah, I already beat up on him for that too.
But if you get a weird electrical that's dancing all around, I mean, nowadays with ECUs, it's a little harder because that's always suspect. There's so much in there we just don't understand, I guess.
Yes.
Or you can't look at.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, if it's really weird, check your ground. I mean, check the and a lot of times it's just the top of the battery. It could be the positive on the battery terminal, but I've also seen batteries that start failing that do that kind of stuff. They cause voltage spikes and different things like that. But electrical, if it ever feels like somebody's touching your kill button, just go down the electrical path. Okay, do I have spark? And if you hear pops, when you're trying to start it, where it's firing, you generally have a spark, so you don't have to go pull the spark plug out and stuff like that. Then it's like, okay, is it fuel? And everybody just goes, oh, the fuel pumps are shit. It's got to be the fuel pump. Well, sometimes you didn't clamp the damn thing together. That's just what happened here. I'm surprised they didn't tear the gas tank off and pull the fuel pump out and say all KTM fuel pumps are crap. Every fuel pump is crap. So, okay, next question.
Tabor River.
Tabor Roberge. Treborberge. Say this with authority. Like say it like Trebor would. Say it.
Trebor.
No, not his name. The damn statement.
Oh, the Explorer 48 is only good for trail riding.
The Explorer 48 fork is only good for trail riding. He posted this up on. That's what he said. That's what he said. And it was funny because I love that fork, especially the new one. I went and started reading the comments, and it's like, man, it's like I just want to throw something out that everybody can pounce on. It's like, I'm better than that fork. I'm a better rider than that cheap ass fork because it's not an air fork or it's not a factory cone valve, blah blah blah, whatever. It's like that fork is. And that's a great fork. It's a great fork for what it's designed to do. If you're kind of a smart person, for about $6 in oil, you can usually make it an excellent fork, by adding some oil or taking some oil away to change the characters. If you play with the clickers on that fork, you can make that fork pretty awesome by tuning it to your settings for trail riding. And then they're like, well, what about motocross? Well, it's not put on a bike that's ever designed to go on a motocross course, but I'll take my KTM 500 with that Explorer, KTM 350 with that Explorer fork on a motocross track and be fine. And if I wanted to set it up for that, I could add some oil to it, crank in the compression a little bit, which, believe it or not, acts on the mid speed, which holds the bike up, and it starts acting. It's never going to be an air fork, and it's never going to be a cone valve fork, but it's not bad. And for the level of rider that mostly would ever take one of those bikes on a motocross track, it's probably better than you having a cone valve fork because it's going to jar the bike all around for the level that you're riding it at. So I think it's a great fork. It's better than just a trail riding fork. And even to go one step further, I know someone that knows a lot more than I do about suspension that's running one of those things on a motocross bike. So there. Because they don't like air forks for a very good reason, because they don't like air forks. So, yeah. Is that another useless rant of a lot of information that, yeah. So, Trebor, I hope you're not doing anything more than trail riding with those forks, because I don't want you to have a problem.
Something tells me that he had to try them with something other than trail riding in order to come to this conclusion that they're only good for trail riding. I would like to, so if Trebor would call me, I would say, hey, so what are you really trying to get these things to do? And I would start, because I'm not just going to pick on the poor guy. I want to offer a solution. I literally want to help him find a solution. And I want to start with, hey, let's do something that's really easy to do, that's effective, that you can learn something from. That's why I started going down the add some oil path. Because if you're talking about them being a little bit too soft, which they can be, there's no doubt about it, add oil before, and as long as you're in the right weight range. If you're a little bit plus size on me and maybe up to where George is at, that was kindly saying that you're fat, George. It's okay, George. You called me dumb, so don't worry.
Okay.
Did I call you dumb? Somebody called me an idiot earlier in this show.
No, I just said it takes an idiot to do the village. I didn't say you were that guy.
Oh, who's raising the village? Janie? The bartender is the village idiot.
Kids were kids.
No. The bartender serves the village.
The bartender, Janie just called me an idiot. Okay, so I want to offer a solution. So it's like, so Tabor, I would say, what is your weight and what are you really trying to do with this bike? Like, what's your goal? And if he was in the right weight range, let's just say he's on a KTM 350 and he's 180 pounds. The fork springs are fine. Okay, what are you doing with it? Well, I'm riding it aggressive, or I haven't even gone into like height and all this other stuff because there's other things. What are you trying to do with it? I want to ride it more aggressive. I want to be able to take it to the motocross track and like ride dual sports with it. At that point, you're going to suffer at some point. You're going to make the bike work better at one thing, and it's not going to work as good at the other. I still haven't said the forks suck at one or the other yet. I'm saying that it can be made to work. So, if you're that weight, then go ahead and try increasing the fork oil level. Try playing with the compression and rebound adjusters, especially the compression, because it'll work. Like I said, it works on the mid speed to hold it up. You can do interesting things where you actually do, if you add a little bit extra oil or a lot more oil, actually you can kind of run negative air pressure in there to kind of counter effect some of the compression that you're going to add with the clicker. There's a lot of things you can do before you have to go buy. And when I started looking down this thing, everybody had a different thing. Oh, you can buy this guy's this, and you can buy this guy's that, or this guy makes this and this guy makes that. And I have not tested all that stuff, so I can't say exactly how that stuff works. But boy, is it expensive. It's a lot more expensive than oil. And just lately, I bought some Race Tech compression adjusters that I put on my 19 Explorer forks, so on my 2019 KTM Explorer forks. They allow compression adjustability, low speed compression adjustability on the forks. So you pull out your stock one, you put the valving stack on, you slide it back in there. And all these can do is actually make the fork softer just by design, because it's a bleed through that allows it to work. So I'm testing those to find out how they work. Because I understand that some people want a little bit more tuning on that fork. But I would love to try somebody's super awesome bitchin' works suspension setup for that thing, to see how it works. Then I'll tell you how it works based on how much it works per dollar invested on that. So what did I do to you? What forks did I put on your KTM or your Husaberg?
I think they were off. They were off of a stock.
Because you had 4CS forks, which I told you. What did I tell you the forks did?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, they sucked.
Yeah, I know you. I actually remember
they didn't actually suck, but they weren't tuned for that application very well.
Well, I bought that bike from I think it was a Mojave Bob. There's too many Bobs,
right?
And it was set up for someone who was a lot heavier than me, and not. I would say I was a little bit more aggressive of a rider, and that's when you said like they were definitely not set up for me. And I think you gave me it was like some stock forks from a 09 250 SX, but then you sent them to I don't remember the name of
George
the company.
ESP.
Yeah, ESP.
We had I don't know if they were SX forks or I don't remember.
They might have been XC, but
there was
an X in there, so it's one of those two.
I think they were but they're open cartridge, correct?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so the open cartridge forks. And did it work better?
Oh, a million times better. Because I remember when I first got that bike, I was kind of like bouncing everywhere, kind of like a pogo stick, and I kept trying to play with the clickers, trying to see if I can get to ride a little bit better. And then eventually just said, that's just not going to happen with the way those are set up.
Yeah,
so
and at that time you were pretty novice in all this stuff, testing especially.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I have a mastery of like suspension still, but
so because I watched you ride the bike and I just watched the front end deflect everywhere, and I'm like, oh geez, I know that the fork's a little bit part of it, and but it was like, okay, there's a solution for this, and not it wasn't just go straight to full forks swap, but I actually wanted to test and play with some 4CS forks because I knew everybody's having problems with them, and it was an option to, hey, I've got a good set of forks that we can put on this thing, it'll work way better on that bike. Having ridden, was I still working at Dirt Rider back then? No, I was out of Dirt Rider.
Yeah, you were.
But I just recently done this comparison between the KTM, the Husaberg, the KTM XCW, the KTM XC, and then the Husaberg FX whatever yours is TE. We did the comparison, so I knew, I'm like, man, if you take those forks off of this bike and put them on that bike, it's going to be good. And that's what kind of essentially what we did.
And those forks are still pretty good. I think they need to be serviced, but
that whole bike needs to be serviced.
We were
gonna do a story on it last time you rode it over here. I'm like, we need to just take this thing back and like say how to freshen up your bike that's been abused / neglected.
Yeah, well, it was neglected from ignorance, I would say.
Right. Okay, Logan, what do I have here?
Durable sprockets by DDC.
Right. Where do you find them?
Delaney, ddcracing.net.
That's exactly right. So if you want your sprockets to hardly ever wear out and last a long time, which is the same thing, and look like cool chrome-plated Swiss cheese, that's where you need to go.
Hey, he's good to follow on the social media. He posts up good little riding videos.
Yeah, I know where he rides.
Riding in the snow. And
yeah,
stuff.
he's up in Matt's neck of the woods. You should go to work for him too.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll DM him sometime on that.
Yeah, because you only need like 20 jobs to get your way through college.
That might be enough.
Matt's trying to put himself through college, and he's finding out how difficult the real world is. I told him he should just quit school and race motorcycles.
Oh, that would require me to be much better at riding motorcycles than I am, though.
I'd like to say it worked for me.
Well,
it didn't. I actually put myself through school racing motorcycles. Hey, Gabe, did you get that scholarship yet? Not yet. Okay.
what scholarship?
He applied for a scholarship here local in town. He actually tried to make me write his what do they call it? Recommendation letter? What do you think I did? Okay, good trick question because Matt doesn't know. What do you think I made Gabe do when he sent me that? Like, hey, can you write me a recommendation letter?
What did you make him do?
Yeah.
Well,
Think about me. How lazy I am, right? I'm never working.
Did you have him like write an outline and then you just tried to like edit it and fill it in?
It's pretty close.
Yes.
Gabe, you could be a physics major studying astrophysics in a few years if you follow Matt.
You could be.
Yeah. Are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
Matt.Mattoon. I don't really post anything on there very much.
Do you stalk anybody?
Stalk anyone?
Yeah, like me.
No.
What about Logan? Logan's on Instagram.
Oh, well, maybe I can start looking him up on Instagram.
Okay, so you
Follow
can.
him.
Hey, if you want to follow any, I'm sure on the video right now it'll show all of our Instagram handles. You can follow us at dirtbiketest.com on Instagram. Of course, if you're watching this live on Facebook right now, we're dirtbiketest.com on Facebook. Every once in a while, we throw a Twitter out there. I don't know what Twitters are, but I do one like at least once a month just to keep keep it fresh. You know what I see on Twitter? I see all these guys that claim they're motorcycle journalists and they're testing bikes all the time. And all they do is they're just Twitters. They're tweety. And it's like they say, I ride more than any other motorcycle. I test more. I ride more than anybody else. They say this on the Twitters, and like once a month when I check it, I'm like,
yeah, Twitter's not.
I'm busy out. I'm out riding. Like really, I don't think there's anybody that rides more than me. I really doubt it. I test so much shit. I don't even talk about the stuff I test because I'm too busy out testing. Although it's just riding, right, Gabe? Yeah, that's what they say. Hey, we got some pretty cool stuff coming up in a week and a half or so. We're gonna do some neat stuff. A contact I made through doing this show, VidMoto, is gonna come out hopefully, and we're gonna shoot some awesome stuff, do some things. Anything else? Any other news? Do we have any other news out here? We're all safe, right? Everybody's healthy. We're safe. I hope you're staying safe in this crazy and strange times. We're gonna get back to super dirt bike riding. No thanks.
I'm curious if anybody knows anybody, and I hope the answer is no, that is actually hospitalized over this coronavirus. Because everybody I've been asking cannot say they know anybody.
We're not. It's not a political show, nor do we talk about racing.
No, I'm just curious. I haven't heard of anybody.
We talk about diseases. Tequila.
And
I'm trying to get a tequila sponsor. I am really trying to get a tequila sponsor.
Well, if you put up that donate button, you'd get it because people be hitting it right now.
How about the gong button where you just like hit the gong and you'd shut me up after like
you had
premium,
I saw 50 live views.
At one point. I've cooled it down to 32.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I'm glad. Hey, I'm really glad everybody's safe. I'm super stoked that everybody's watching this. Hey, share it with a friend. You could be listening to this on iTunes or on SoundCloud if you're listening to the audio. Good on you. I don't know how you share that stuff. Usually you just take it out of your car window and throw it at the other person. Is that how you do the sharing on the? on the
Social
audio?
distancing.
Social distancing, yeah. Gabe says yes, so that's obviously right.
I think just stand on the side of the road with like a sign up.
Stand on the side of the road. What's the day rate for that, Logan? What is it going to cost to put you on the side of Highway 15?
Oh, but you got to spin the sign too. It's got to have like a little arrow and you got to spin it.
Because if you're not going riding, I'm going to put you to work someplace else. And the sign spinner, you know, you're a little guy. We could put you up in a leopard outfit or something like that. Or
I'll ride the 125 around you and I'll be happy.
The Cub 125. We got some cool bikes coming up for tests. Lots of stuff happening. We can't wait to get back at it. So I think that's it. Do we have another out of questions? We're good. We answered everything we could possibly answer.
Do you want to rip into Charles a little bit more?
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's go. Charles H.
Yeah, Charles H.
No, there's a couple people on the show that are ready to go. They're ready to go beat up on him. He honestly has a valid comment. Our audio did suck, and sometimes on the technical side we suck, and we're working really hard to make this as good and professional as possible. It kind of correlates to the amount of revenue that we're generating. How's that cat food, by the way, that I feed you? It's not that good, is it?
Cat food and paint thinner.
Paint thinner. Oh,
wait, paint thinner.
Well, so I really have to actually pay him. So I had him scraping some floors. Yeah, it's a long story. Yeah. So his dad, a construction expert, couldn't even give us better advice. He just has to scrape it. I had a professional scraper. And like this kid, all of his weight in that thing didn't do anything. So, hey, you got to love riding dirt bikes. You got to work hard to do them. And if you give me a no thanks next time, I'm calling Matt. You're off the list.
Wait. I'm plan B?
Second.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you were here. I mean, I knew you were here, but I don't want to. Hey, I do not want to. I know how serious that high school, college and stuff is. I don't want to interrupt that stuff. So, anyways, thanks a lot, everybody, again for joining in, watching us, listening to us. Share, support the people that support this podcast. DDC Sprockets, Climb Gear. If you don't know what fuck you is, and I said that it's FAHQ, come riding with me sometime and you'll get a little taste and maybe a sticker. You just never know. You can get one. I'll give you one.
Okay. I was gonna say I remember one ride when I was like 15.
Yeah, you've been riding with me for a while. But good times. And we have any other Tacomoto.co. They've been helping us out, although I need a cable and some the next check or something like that, because I'm gonna have to turn the lights out. It's gonna be pretty dim around here. Okay. Hey, good night, everybody. Sleep tight, and we will see you out on the trail. Cheers.